This is horror. German Shepherd mauls two small dogs at London
Okay,
Park.
let's get into
Let's
this.
deep dive.
What you shared, it's really quite disturbing, isn't it?
It really is.
We're talking about a park in London, Row Green Park, up in Brent, northwest London, just a normal Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. The kind of place you expect peace and quiet.
And instead, it's shattered by something, well, pretty horrific.
Right.
A German Shepherd attacking two small dogs.
Not just one, but two. It's awful.
We've got details from a news report, and honestly, the descriptions, they paint a really vivid, really upsetting picture.
You can almost imagine it. The owner's screaming, "This big dog, totally out of control."
And it was all filmed, ended up on TikTok, went viral.
Which is often how these things come to light now, isn't it? It
Yeah.
generates that immediate, strong reaction.
Absolutely. And it's completely understandable why. Seeing that kind of aggression, especially aimed at smaller, vulnerable animals, it's deeply unsettling.
It's a nerve.
So for everyone listening, our aim here, our mission for this deep dive is to kind of look past that initial shock, the online noise. We want to really try and understand what happened in that park, what the immediate fallout was, and maybe what bigger questions this whole thing raises about, well, about dogs in public spaces.
Exactly. Trying to get to the core of the incident, the key elements, and what underlying issues it points towards, rather than just recounting the horror.
Okay, so let's set the scene then. The news article, it describes this German Shepherd off-leash, unrestrained,
A crucial detail.
and it just zeroes in on a small white dog.
Mm-hmm. And importantly, that small dog was on a lead with its owners, two women, who were apparently screaming.
You can just feel the terror in that description. It highlights that contrast straight away, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The owners of the small dogs seemingly doing what they should be doing in a park.
And people did try to help, right? In those first moments.
Yeah, the report mentions two men stepping in trying to spray water on the German Shepherd.
Which I guess is a natural instinct. Try something.
Definitely. A spontaneous attempt to intervene,
Mm.
but the article suggests it just had no effect.
Right. Didn't work. Shows how determined the dog was, maybe.
Or just the inadequacy sometimes of, less physical methods when an animal is that worked up.
Then the owner of the German Shepherd shows up. A man in a black coat.
Okay.
He tries to pull his dog off, but according to the report, the dog just wouldn't let go.
Wow. So even the owner couldn't control it at that point.
Seems like it. You can only imagine how helpless everyone must have felt. It really makes you think, doesn't it, about owning powerful breeds.
It does. What kind of training or preparedness is needed? Are the current standards enough?
That's a huge question this raises. That responsibility that comes with owning a dog, especially one capable of causing real harm. His inability to stop the attack is, well, it's central here.
Definitely.
And then we get this really unexpected moment.
Yeah.
Another man, this one in a gray tracksuit, he tries something, described as a controversial last resort technique.
Okay, I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. He inserts a finger into the German Shepherd's anus.
Right. That specific detail made the rounds online. It's certainly unconventional.
Highly unconventional. But the fascinating thing,
It worked.
apparently, yes. The article says this action, as bizarre as it sounds, actually made the German Shepherd release the white dog.
Wow. Okay. So, while definitely not standard practice or probably even advisable usually,
Not at all.
in this extreme moment, it had an effect. It just shows how unpredictable animal behavior can be, I suppose.
Totally. And thank goodness it worked for that white dog.
Mhm.
But the report says, pretty ominously, that the danger was far from over.
Oh, no.
Because the German Shepherd, immediately after letting go, turns its attention straight onto a second small dog, a black one this time.
Instantly. No pause.
Seems like it. The report says it clamped its jaws around the black dog and actually flung it through the air.
Oh, that's horrific. Just awful.
The speed of that redirection is alarming.
It really is. It suggests, a very high state of arousal, maybe aggression in the dog, lack of normal inhibition. It's important for people listening to understand an animal in that state might not react predictably at all.
So another struggle ensues. This time, a man in a tan coat tries to get involved, physically trying to pry the dog's jaws open.
Right.
And the owner of the black dog, described as elderly, is there too, desperately trying to pull her pet away.
You can just picture the scene.
Yeah.
Absolute chaos. Probably lots of shouting, confusion.
Exactly. The report mentions onlookers gathering, everyone trying to do something, a real community distress.
And it highlights the vulnerability, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The small dog, the elderly owner, against this much larger, out-of-control animal.
And get this, adding to the chaos, the article mentions the German Shepherd's owner. He apparently had 2 other large dogs with him.
2 more, also large.
Yes, on leads this time, but they were pulling so hard towards the fight that he was actually being dragged along the ground himself.
Seriously, dragged along the ground while his other dog was attacking.
That's what the report says. It paints a picture of someone just completely overwhelmed, unable to manage his animals.
That really adds another layer, doesn't it? If we connect that to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Serious questions about his ability to handle even 1 large dog, let alone 3, in public.
Yeah, it suggests a real lack of control, maybe awareness, too.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, eventually, a bystander managed to free the little black dog.
Oh, thank goodness. How?
The report doesn't specify exactly how, just that someone got it free and returned it to its owner.
And the owner.
She left the scene immediately, which is completely understandable.
Absolutely. Get her dog away from there.
But the really concerning thing is, the article states we don't know the current condition of either of those small dogs.
Right. That uncertainty just hangs there, doesn't it? Adds to the gravity. They would have suffered significant physical trauma, not to mention the terror.
Definitely. So let's shift focus slightly. How did this play out beyond the park? Online, for instance.
Well, as you mentioned, the video went viral. So, predictably, a huge online reaction.
The article calls it a wave of public outrage.
Not surprising at all. These incidents tap into strong emotions, fear, anger, protectiveness.
And the condemnation of the German Shepherd's owner seems pretty universal, specifically for the lack of control. For anyone listening, you see this all the time on social media after something like this, right? That immediate outpouring.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost instantaneous in the digital age. Easy access, maybe some anonymity. It just amplifies everything.
And people weren't just angry, they were calling for specific actions, stricter regulations.
Like what?
Things like mandatory training for owners, maybe tougher rules for breeds seen as potentially more dangerous.
Right. That debate always surfaces.
Clearly, it taps into a feeling of insecurity, people feeling unsafe when dogs aren't controlled in public. One comment mentioned was the owner should be banned from having animals until they do extensive training.
Mm-hmm.
Another just expressed anger at, quote, useless dog owners. The emotion is really raw.
Yeah, those comments reflect that broader anxiety about responsible ownership and what happens when that responsibility isn't met. The call for mandatory training is interesting. Suggests a belief that education could be a key preventative measure.
But the reaction wasn't only anger and calls for regulation, was it? What about the man in the gray tracksuit?
Ah, yes. The unconventional intervention.
He became a big talking point, too.
I bet.
There was praise, apparently, for his quick thinking, potentially saving the dog's life,
Okay.
but also sort of disbelief. And the article even mentions people anticipating some banter directed his way.
Right.
You know, jokes about it.
It's that human tendency sometimes to find the absurd, even in serious situations. Someone commented, didn't they, that the finger trick might have saved a life.
Yeah, exactly. As bizarre as it sounds, that was part of the conversation, too. It offered another focus besides just the understandable outrage.
Real life being stranger than fiction, perhaps.
Perhaps. So, okay, let's step back a bit. From the immediate events, the online buzz, what are the core issues this whole incident in Roe Green Park really throws up?
Well, first and foremost, I think, is that whole concept of responsible dog ownership.
Mm.
It's more than just feeding and walking. It's about ensuring you can actually control your animal, always, especially in public spaces.
Which includes proper training, using leads when needed.
Exactly. And understanding your dog's specific temperament is potential triggers.
Absolutely. And that ties directly into the second big issue.
Right.
Public safety.
Right. Parks, streets, they're shared spaces. People need to feel safe there. Their pets need to feel safe. An incident like this really shakes that sense of security for a lot of people.
No doubt.
And thirdly, the article specifically flags leash law enforcement. Many parks have rules, dogs on leads either always or in certain areas.
But are they enforced? And do people follow them?
That's the question. The effectiveness relies on both consistent enforcement by authorities and responsible compliance from owners. This event suggests, well, maybe a breakdown somewhere along that line.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, for those listening, what practical steps could actually improve that? Better signs, more patrols, community awareness.
It's a complex problem.
It really is. When you replay those images in your mind, or maybe you saw the video, the small dogs being attacked, the owners panic, it sticks with you.
That visceral detail It really underlines the severity, the emotional impact, not just for those there, but anyone who learns about it.
And it forces you to look at all the angles, doesn't it?
Right.
The immediate danger, that very strange but apparently effective intervention.
Yeah.
And then these much bigger questions about how we manage dogs in public, the responsibilities involved, especially with powerful animals.
It's a stark reminder, unfortunately.
Oh.
Owning a dog, particularly a large one, isn't just a personal choice. It has real impacts on the community. We're all sharing these spaces.
Yeah. Interconnectedness. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening to chew on. What responsibility, what genuine responsibility do dog owners have to proactively ensure safety for other animals, for people when they're out in public together?
It's a fundamental question.
Comment your
And
thoughts on
beyond
the
that,
story.
what measures could actually work to stop things like this happening again? Is it stricter laws, better training programs, something community-based? What's most effective?
It's challenging, definitely. But thinking about potential solutions is vital if we want to prevent these really distressing incidents in the future.
A really important conversation for all of us who use these shared spaces.
Thanks.